Here's a short video about some of the things that we've been trying to learn about that you might be struggling with a little bit, but let me try to clear it up. So it's all about triangles, but it's a special kind of triangle. It's a right triangle. Now, we know about Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I think we're pretty solid on that. Now we have the situation where what if we only have one side and an angle, and we can figure out the other side. Okay, that's what we're really doing. So if we have this angle right here that we're interested in, and I'm just going to call it theta, like an x. Okay, we have this angle. Now let's, in reference to this angle, what are the three sides? Well, the longest side is the hypotenuse. I think you guys know that. And then the side that is opposite this angle right over here, that's called the opposite. Right there, that's the opposite side. And then we have the adjacent side. So, and if you want to remember, the adjacent side and the opposite side form this right angle. Okay, and the adjacent is the one that's next to the angle. The opposite is the one that's across from the angle. So there we have that to begin with. Now I think we're pretty good on that, but I just want to review real quick. Let's go to the next slide. So here we have a triangle, and we say that we're just interested in how long that side is. You could say, okay, here's this thing that's 17 feet tall. How far am I away from it if I look at the top at 23 degrees, something like that. But anyway, we just want to know what this is. How do we do that? Oh, well, that is the tangent function. Here's what the tangent function looks like. So we say that the tangent of some angle, this angle right here, is equal to this ratio. It's a slope ratio, rise over run kind of thing. The ratio is the opposite over the adjacent. The opposite over the adjacent. Oh, so let me write this down using these numbers. So, but what I'm going to do instead of a question mark, I'm going to say, why don't we use an x for that? We're kind of used to that. So using the numbers that we have, we say, oh, the tangent of 23, which you could plug in your calculator, is equal to this ratio of 17 over x. Rise over run kind of thing, that slope ratio. So that's tangent. We've been doing that for quite a while. But what if you didn't have either one of these sides, but you did know what the hypotenuse is? Could you figure out one of these sides or this side if you know the hypotenuse? Well, those are sine and cosine. Same kind of an idea. We know what the angle is, and we have a side, and we can figure out another side. Let me do another slide which illustrates that. Here we have the situation. We want to figure out this side here, but all we have is a hypotenuse. We're going to use a different function, and let's remember what the sides are. So this is the hypotenuse, and this is the opposite. For tangent, we use opposite over adjacent, but this is a new one. It's called sine, and let me write that down. And here it is. So the sine of some angle is equal to the opposite, which is right here, over the hypotenuse, which is right there. Same kind of an idea as we did with tangent, except just two different sides. Now, let's plug some numbers in and see what it looks like. And here we are. Now I use the letter x instead of that question mark. I think we're used to that. So I've got the sine of 37 degrees is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse, the opposite over the hypotenuse. Now you could plug this into your calculator and get a number, and then you would solve this using algebra to figure out what x is. I think you guys can do that. Where the problem is setting these up. That's where I'm really after. So now let's look at the next one. Now we have this situation. So again, we have the hypotenuse and the adjacent, and we want to figure that out. Here's the angle, and this is actually called cosine when you have the hypotenuse and you're trying to figure out what that adjacent side is. So let me write that down. And there it is. Cosine of some angle, which is 39 this time, is equal to the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse, that ratio. So let's plug some numbers in. And one more time, we've got it. So the cosine of 39 degrees, which is right there, sometimes we call it theta, just for a variable, is equal to the adjacent side, I'm going to just call it x, that's an unknown number, x over 51. You could plug this into your calculator, get a number, and then solve this thing. Again, we're just trying to do the setup. Let's make sure that we can do that. That's really the biggest stumbling block. Now, could you do this if things were twisted this way? Sure, you could do the same thing. And I'm not going to go into it, but what if we use this angle instead? So now, instead of using cosine, we're using the opposite over the hypotenuse, which would be sine. But as long as we're clear on this, that's the biggest thing. Make sure that we know how to set up sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay, I hope this is helpful, and then maybe later when you are getting ready for a test or something, you could look at this video again and say, oh yeah, maybe I should write some stuff down to get ready for the test. Okay, just trying to help you guys out, and I'll see you Monday or Tuesday whenever we meet.